Hey guys, I just got back from the cinema watching Independence Day 2, Independence Day Resurgence, and I thought I'd let you guys know my thoughts in case you're thinking about seeing the film. I'm going to break the video down into a non-spoiler half first, so there's going to be no spoilers whatsoever, and then in the second half I'm just going to go wild on the spoilers. Now I don't have any plan for this talk, so if I sort of ramble I apologise, but I just want to let you guys know my thoughts. So the film was about average. It was okay. It was borderline bad, but its saving grace was probably the returning cast members. Jeff Goldblum playing David Levinson, also Brent Spiner playing Professor Oaken. They added this really nice humour to the film that kept me engaged with the story. When it got really far-fetched and silly, there was a little gag in there that made me laugh, and I kind of had to give in to the story of the film because the humour was really funny. And I would say that's the saving grace of the film. If they didn't have those returning cast members, this film would have suffered really badly. Now, I know a lot of you really like Jurassic World, but I have to compare it with the summer blockbuster of last year, which was Jurassic World. I think Jurassic World suffered from not having those returning cast members that you sort of hang on to because their acting is so good. And I think this film had a little bit of an advantage over Jurassic World in that the returning cast members really helped support the story. Now, if you're going to see this movie, definitely watch Independence Day again before going to see it, because there's a lot of minor characters that they bring back, and you're kind of like, I don't remember who they are, and they're kind of important to the story. So if you do have a copy of Independence Day and you're going to see this film, watch Independence Day first. It's definitely worth checking out in the cinemas. I wouldn't say you should expect too much from it. It's quite far-fetched and extremely sci-fi compared to the first film. I'd say the first film was much more grounded, a lot more kind of Earth-based. Even in terms of the stories, they were much more Earth-based, whereas this one kind of takes it to the next level because of the events of the first film. And when I saw the original trailers for this film, I thought, I'm not sure if I like the direction this film is going in. And after watching the film, I think it still is a risk. I sometimes look at films like this and I think you could have gone this way with the sequel, you could have gone that way. And I think this film still has a little bit more to give. I think it could have been longer for one. It was 2 hours. The original was 2 hours 25 minutes, and this one was 2 hours long, and it did feel rushed. So I think it could have benefited from having those extra 25 minutes that we had in the original movie. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the spoilers half of this review. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, please turn off now, because I'm going to be talking about the content of the film and the story. Okay, so since the events of the first movie, we have equipped the Earth using the alien technology. We've got flying planes and flying massive LCD monitors, and on the moon we have a base that has a weapon on it to protect us from any future alien attacks. It seems quite far-fetched, and actually in the film they kind of do it gracefully. It is kind of shoved in your face a bit, like, this is where we are now, and this is where technology is now. I found that a little hard to deal with at first, but that's the story, and you've got to go with it. Now, Jeff Goldblum's character has headed up a group that's supposed to protect the Earth from a future alien invasion, and he constantly refers to in 1996 this, in 1996 that. So he's obviously going on, his experience of what happened. Now, we are attacked again, but just before we are attacked again, an alien ship turns up, and it's a completely different design to anything we've seen before. And it turns out that actually this is a benevolent, friendly race, and I'll get back to that later on. So the evil ship turns up, it's huge, it lands on our planet, and it turns out it's got like a heat source in the middle, which contains like the alien queen. It's like a huge version of one of the aliens that we saw in the original Independence Day. And we're going back to that benevolent ship that we found. It turns out that they have actually worked out a way to destroy this evil race of aliens, and they are teaching other planets how to destroy it. Now, the Queen wants to get to this benevolent ship and destroy it, and we've got it stored at Area 51. So essentially what we do is generate the same signature of this ship and sort of create a bluff. So we carry the signal off into the desert, and the Queen chases it. This giant queen alien. Sounds very far-fetched, but this is what happens. And then in the end, we manage to destroy the alien queen. Now, the runtime for this film, as I said, is 2 hours, not 2 hours 25 minutes like the original. And there's a lot there to deal with in such a short space of time, which is why the humor helps support this movie, because there's a lot going on in it. I think because we've seen films like 2012, which are huge disaster movies, this film didn't want to be a disaster movie. It wanted to be more of a science fiction film, and I think they've definitely accomplished that. But I think it lacks some of the groundedness of the original film because of that. We've lost this epic disaster feeling, and I suppose it's because nowadays we've seen a lot of explosions and it's not as impressive as it used to be. So it kind of has to lean more on the science fiction side than sort of a disaster movie plot. It is pretty good. The young cast don't take over the movie, which is what I feared. The old characters stay in the movie and they add a lot to it. So I'm really glad that they did that. One new character that felt a little bit incongruous is Jeff Goldblum's new love interest. She's a scientist, a bit like Jeff Goldblum. So it kind of makes sense that they're attracted to each other. But I just couldn't help thinking, what happened to his wife from the first movie? And it's kind of sad that they're still not together. I kind of would have been cool to have seen that he was still with his wife, but instead he's got this new love interest. And I think I didn't quite buy that in the film. But, you know, I suppose they had to have a love interest of his in the film, and maybe they couldn't get the original cast member back. Also, Will Smith isn't in this film, and they kind of replaced him with his son, a character called Dylan. Now, Will Smith's love interest is in this film, but she unfortunately dies. Now, her death scene, she kind of falls into the rubble of a falling building. It didn't feel poignant enough to me. I didn't feel like we really felt her dying. She was an original cast member, and I felt like that was quite a somber scene, but it didn't feel to me like we really felt her passing, and I felt like if that had been done in the original film, it would have been done a little bit more gracefully. And actually at the end of this film, it looks like we're going to team up with this benevolent race and go and kick the ass of the evil aliens on their planet. So that's quite cool as a concept. So I like where it's going. I just feel like maybe we could have done that in this movie. But yeah, you know, it could have been worse, this film. It could have been a lot worse. And I'm glad they brought back all the members of the cast that they did. Okay, guys, that's my thoughts on the film. In terms of a rating, I'd probably give it maybe a 6 out of 10, 5 or 6 out of 10. It's about average. It's not a great film, but I think, as I said, it has an advantage over Jurassic World simply because of the returning cast and their humor that they bring to the film. Okay, guys, rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.